Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show, coming to you from right here in Hollywood, California. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea. It's an awesome honor and privilege, as it is every day, for you to join us here, our fellow film fans, our international friends, talking about our favorite things in the world, movies and movie news and all that sorts of good stuff. Speaking of good stuff, we got the good stuff right here. Sitting right beside me, Mr. Robert Meyer Burnett. Robert, how you doing, sir?
I'm good, and I'm finally tonight going to go see the Chinese epic sci-fi film, The Wandering Earth, that's blowing up the box office, and it's playing here in town.
I saw you tweet about that, actually. I just like, woo, Rob's going to be excited about that.
I can't wait. I mean, it's in 3D IMAX here. I didn't even know, 4 miles from my house.
You lost me at 3D. And sitting over there, also the good stuff, we got Ashley Whalen. Ashley, how you doing?
I'm great. Good morning, you guys. I'm good. We were just discussing our favorite comedies, so that's a good way to start a day.
It's always a good, I love just talking movies anytime, 24/7. And listen, guys, we do have a bunch of things that we have to talk about here today. We've got a bunch of main topics lined up. But before we get to any of that, we're going to go right off the top with this. Now, of course, coming up, end of the year, Star Wars Episode 9 is coming out. We still do not have a trailer. As a matter of fact, we still don't have a title. I expect both to be revealed at Star Wars Celebration in Chicago coming up. Now, Lost alumnus, Don Monahan, he recently said this. Somebody was asking him about the title for Star Wars Episode 9. And he said this, literally, the only person in the world right now who knows the title of Star Wars Episode 9 is J.J. Abrams. So now, J.J. is infamous for wanting to keep things secret on his sets and all that kind of stuff. Rob, let me ask you this. Do you buy that J.J. Abrams is actually the only person who knows the title for Star Wars Episode 9 right now?
No. Bob Iger knows. But my man Bob Iger knows. He's got to know. You can't, I mean, the reason J.J. Abrams, he serves at the pleasure of the Emperor, Bob Iger. And I love Bob Iger. I mean, I have mad respect for him. But no, I think that the two of them, no. But you know, I had heard that The Force Awakens didn't have a title until late in the game. Like they didn't know, they hadn't decided on it yet. And I bet that's true. I bet that they have a number of titles that they're going to go with, because this might be the most important movie title in the history of movie titles. I mean, it really might be. I mean, it's going to be, Star Wars will sort of be defined by what this title is, I think, for a long time to come. I got to say, I'm really kind of excited to hear it, what it is.
First of all, with the whole thing about how The Last Jedi, I believe they didn't have a title late in the game, but I believe they had it down to a couple.
Right.
And they were like, okay, we're still kind of humming and hawing. We're leaning towards this. We'll give some time for this. There is no way this is true. There's just no way. Because there are several rungs of the ladder above JJ's pay grade that this would have to be approved by. Starting with his immediate boss, Kathleen Kennedy.
Right, that's true.
Then her immediate boss, Alan Horn. And then the High Lord Emperor, Bob Iger. There's no way they have a title and Bob Iger's going, oh, you don't want to tell me the title, JJ? Oh, that's fine. That doesn't happen.
Right.
He is the High Lord and Emperor. That does not happen. Now, maybe what Dominic is talking about is like, with the Star Wars production, the only person who knows is J.J. Abrams. With all the people who are on set, the only person who knows is J.J. Abrams. And I buy that. I do. I completely buy that. I wouldn't be surprised at all if each cast member has no idea what the other cast members' lines are, because J.J. is just that secretive. But there is no way Kathleen Kennedy hasn't known it and approved it. No way Alan Horn hasn't known it and approved it. And absolutely no way that Bob Iger hasn't known it and approved it. So, yeah, that's just not true. As far as it being an important title, I never think titles are important. They're just not. Look, let's be honest. As bad as The Phantom Menace was, that movie was going to be a giant blockbuster hit. That movie could have been called Star Wars Jar Jar Yanks It to Skinamax Porn. And it still would have made hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars. It could have been called Star Wars. George Lucas scrubs his ass with a Twinkie. And it still would have set opening weekend box office records. It will have nothing to do with it. I don't think the title's important at all. I think we're all going to buzz about it positively or negatively. Then we're all going to go, who cares? It's just a title. And then we'll go into the movie.
I don't know. I mean, I think it's people are going to discuss it. It's the culmination of the Skywalker saga. I think it's a big deal.
Do you have any guesses, Rob, of what it's going to be?
Well, it's not going to be my Jedi concubine for episode 9. Although, I don't know where I came up with that can Jedis have concubines? Can a Jedi be a concubine?
Sure, they just can't love because love
I
is
guess you're
attachment. I mean, I don't know what's going on. Look, they're the only guess that's been going around, and people have been guessing this for almost a year, which was Balance of the Force. A lot of people thought that. It is the name of a Star Wars pinball game.
Right.
It's the name of a Star Wars collectible card game, whatever. And then other people leaked Reddit anonymously. Well, that's a possibility. I really don't care. It could be called anything. It could be Star Wars, and that's fine because it won't affect the movie at all.
But what if it was something like the end of the Jedi? We had Last Jedi, and now
Sure.
it's the end of the Jedi.
But the Last Jedi. What's one of the last things Luke says in the movie? I'm not the Last Jedi.
Right.
Well, there goes the meaning of the title, I suppose. So they could call it the end of the Jedi, and it's going to end with, Rey or Luke or a returned Obi-Wan going, this is not the end of the Jedi. So even that, if they gave away something that is specific to a plot point, Star Wars, the return of Han Solo. Okay, there is some major significance with that.
Well, The Empire Strikes Back.
The Empire Strikes, yeah, it's a good title, but it didn't affect how good or bad the movie was. The movie was still the movie. It would have been the exact same, even with the title. It was a good title. It's
true.
Empire Strikes Back is a great title. I
tweeted, I think they should just call it Star Wars, a Star Wars story.
I saw somebody make a graphic
Yeah,
of that.
I found that graphic online. I had to retweet it. I'm like, this is it, man. That's what it should be called.
That's glorious.
Star Wars. Because
Star
the
Wars
more I
story.
think about it, I'm like, why not?
Why
it kind of
not?
brings it all full circle.
Star Wars, because you're coming anyway. That's what they just
I
should have
want
called
my
it.
Jedi concubine.
All right, let's move on now to our main topics today. How do we select our main topics here on the John Campea Show? Well, it's really rather simple. You see, you guys select them by emailing me your topics and questions anytime, 24/7. To John at thejohncampeashow.com. That's John at thejohncampeashow.com. Make sure you guys put that word topic in the subject line. A lot of you guys forget to do that. And as always, keep those emails to 90 words or less. With that down, Ashley, what have we got to talk about today?
The first one of the day is from Patreon supporter Ian Barth. So, The Hollywood Reporter just revealed the 4 Oscar categories that will be presented during the commercials, and they are cinematography, film editing, live-action short, and makeup and hairstyling. What do you think of these choices? Would you switch out any or add any? I personally think that foreign film, animated short, and sound mixing are better categories to exclude from the broadcast. What do you think?
Okay, so just so we're all clear and we have the context of this, here is the report that came out of Variety, okay? So let's take a look at this. This report out of Variety, by the way, a report written by Chris Tapley, the first guy I lived with when I moved into Hollywood, as a matter of fact. So anyway,
So
Chris,
you believe him?
So I believe him, yes. I think he's 100%
Dirty
reliable.
liar.
Variety wrote this. The awards will be, these talking about the awards that are going to be moved to commercial breaks. The awards will be Best Cinematography, Film Editing, Live Action Short, and Makeup and Hairstyling. The winning speeches will be edited to remove the winners' walk from their seats to the stage, and each speech will be aired separately later in the telecast. Okay, I think that's an important thing for us to understand before we address, the overall stuff of this. Is let's understand what is happening. They are not taking the scalpel and getting rid of the best cinematography category. They're not taking the scalpel and getting rid of the best hair and makeup category. They're not taking the scalpel and getting rid of the best editing. They're not even moving it, as I have suggested they should do to certain categories before, to that alternate night, the technical awards night. I've suggested they should take some of these categories and move them to that night. They're not even doing that. They're awards that are being given out on the night of the ceremony, and the winners will be announced at the ceremony. And they will even have a bit of their acceptance speech. I don't know if it's going to be the entire acceptance speech or whatever later on. So let's keep that in mind. It's not as, because I saw some people reacting online yesterday to, they're getting rid of best cinematography. Well, look, they're not getting rid of it. They're not getting rid of it. So let's keep that in mind. Now, that said, what the fuck? What are they doing? I swear to God, the Academy Awards, you guys who've watched me for any period of time know that the Academy Awards are my second favorite day of the year, only behind Christmas. I even look forward to the Academy Awards more than my own birthday. Although, quite frankly, my birthday and the Academy Awards often fall on the same day. So that's just a double bonus. But I do. I look forward to the Academy Awards more than my own birthday. Are they a perfect system? No, never have been, but they never can be. That's fine. I love the Academy Awards, and this year has just put a beating on any faith I have in the Academy Awards. Do I still think they're the most relevant, most legitimate awards out there? Yeah, I do. But this is a year that started with them going, we got an idea. Let's have a Best Popular Film category. And we'll pull mallets out of our pants and dance silly songs and float through the air as we smell delicious pies. It is one of the most ridiculous asinine things. I cannot think of the type of room and the level of stupidity you got to pack in that room to have adults come out and go, yeah, let's have a Best Popular Film category. Ba, 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 ba. And now this, look, I have said from the beginning, Rob, I agree with the idea of trying to shorten it down. I don't believe, look, there's a difference between the awards and the show. The awards and the show. There's a difference between there. And when you're doing the show part, hey, you do got to understand there's some categories that the audience watching at home just doesn't care about. Best short live action. I'm not knocking people who make short live action, not at all.
No,
but I think we will all agree that the average viewer at home doesn't care about that. Best short documentary. All the respect in the world for short documentarians, by all means. But let's be honest, the viewing audience at home isn't really invested in that because they've never seen any of the films that are coming out. Best short animated. Hair and makeup. Again, not selling those categories short, but in the grand scheme of things, when you're talking about the show that we're broadcasting, are the audience interested in that? The Academy Awards, Robert, every year when you go to their official pages and they list their nominees, they rank them in an order of importance. Best Picture is always the first one. Best Director, then the acting categories, and then the very next one is usually cinematography, and then maybe a screenplay, and then editing, and then all these types of things. So you're the Academy. If you had told me a week ago, Robert, that, John, I've come from the future, 1 week from now, the Academy Awards, they're going to cut some categories. They're going to cut some. I mean, as far as what gets presented live. And two of them are going to be cinematography and editing. I would smack you in the mouth and call you a dirty, rotten liar. Say, you are a deceiver from the pit of hell, away from me, Satan. That's what I would have said, because there's no way what you had just said to me would have been true. I could not conceive of the incompetence that would be required of a governing board of the Academy to come up with such an asinine, ridiculous idea as this. And yet here we are. You stand as a prophet, sir. You were correct, as it turns out, because they are that stupid. They are that incompetent. They are that moronic, and they have lost their way that much. I was holding out hope that this whole thing of, let's do Best Popular Film, I was hoping that was an abbreviation. I was hoping that was, something, a glitch in the matrix, if you will. I was hoping this is not indicative of how dumb and how stupid this body has become. This body that is governing one of my most treasured things as a film fan, which is the Academy Awards, and yet it is true. And yet it is true. Here we are. The Academy Awards is now being governed by a bunch of clowns that pile out of a small car. That is who is running this show. And this is coming from the guy who has been the biggest evangelist and defender of the Academy Awards that I've ever known. I've never known anybody that stands up for the Academy Awards like I do. And you've lost me. You are a bunch of clowns. How? Who came up with this idea, and how did you get a show of hands to go all in favor? How did this happen, Rob? What's going on?
Well, I think there's a lot of things to unpack here. First of all, Guillermo del Toro went online. He tweeted yesterday, and he talked about the fact that in terms of the art of movie making, that cinematography, and editing are the only disciplines unique to cinema. Acting came out of the theater. Makeup came out of the theater. Costumes came out of the theater. Until movies, editing and cinematography did not exist. So as far as movies are concerned, those two disciplines, and being a film editor myself, I can say that cinematography and editing are the two most important things. Without those, you don't have a movie. Like, at all.
If you don't have hair and makeup, you have an ugly movie, but you have a movie.
Well, yes.
You don't have sound mixing, you may have a sound that's all over the place, but you have a movie. You don't even need actors. Go watch a polar bear movie that Ryan Reynolds just put out. Without cinematography and without editing, there is no movie.
But I think it speaks to a larger problem. One of my favorite things, I've been watching the Oscars since I was 7 years old. And I'm with you. One of my favorite nights of the year. A lot of the time I would make everybody go away and watch them by myself. The thing about the movies is that it was the movies themselves that were important when the Oscars were concerned, not the show.
Right.
And one of my favorite things is to go back and watch old Oscar clips from when I was a kid, like 1967, and you watch Bob Hope come out and do these really long monologues where a lot of the jokes,
But they were gold.
They were gold, and a lot of the jokes you don't remember because you don't get because the people aren't around anymore, and watching them arrive, it was a much more low-key affair for most of its existence. The idea that a show becomes the defining purpose behind the Oscars themselves is the problem with our entire society.
Yes.
I mean, it's just a microcosm of everything wrong with corporate interests and the actual spirit of what the Oscars are. You should, part of the fun is to watch people get up out of their chair when they find out they've won an Oscar. You look at who they turn to. Do they kiss their wife? Do they shake someone's hand? I love seeing people do what they do and come down the aisle because you learn something about them. Mm-hmm. It's part of the whole experience. You're happy for them. And when Roger Deakins with his shocking white hair, I love the way that guy looks when he stands up. And that guy finally won his Oscar for Blade Runner 2049. You want to watch him walk to the stage. I get up and go, fuck yeah, Roger Deakins won. That's all part of the broadcast. The problem is movies have become less important in our culture. With video games, with YouTube, with virtual reality, that the reason the Oscar telecast is not what it has diminishing returns is because we have a different landscape now. And rather than try and figure out a way to make the Oscar telecast more interesting or different, they're going to cut categories. It's like marketing people at the studios. You guys have to be more creative. Don't expect your job to be done by somebody else. It used to be where you'd give somebody a movie and the marketing team would have to figure out how to market the film. Now it's like, oh, no, we don't want to do our jobs. It's like everything else in our culture. We don't want to innovate and figure out how to make something unique and interesting. We'd rather just, cut categories that are the very basis of cinema. Now,
let's put this in context here. I am all for, as I mentioned before, the idea of shortening the show. There is no reason why a show like that needs to be 4 hours long. It just doesn't need to happen. But there are ways to shorten it. There are things you can do and all that kind of stuff, and I agree with that. But to put this in perspective, the Academy had a list of potential things. These things are still in. Oh, well, we can either get rid of cinematography or best documentary short. Whoa, documentary short's got to stay in there. What? Here's the thing about best song. Look, I love Shallow as much as anybody else. I still have no idea how the Celine Dion song from Deadpool 2 did not get nominated, but whatever. I love that as much as anything. But I've always had this big problem with the Oscars because they would have a full performance of every single song, which meant more time at the Oscars was dedicated every year to the best song category, something that takes up about 1 minute and 30 seconds of a movie. They got more screen time at the Oscars than the best director got. Okay, move that. I'm not saying get rid of the category altogether, but just have that awarded somewhere else. Best short animated film? That was more important than editing. That was more, to them, that was, what we got to make sure we keep in there? Best short animated film. And you got 2 categories for sound. And by the way, most of the publics don't even understand the difference between sound editing and sound mixing anyway. They're like, wait a minute, didn't they just give the sound award? Like, do you have best actor with facial expressions and best actor with spoken dialogue? No, like you have. Now, I'm not saying they should get rid of one of the categories, but maybe you don't have to do those. My thing is, these are all things that they went and said, oh yeah, these are all more important than cinematography and editing. More important.
Well, also, look, makeup. Makeup almost goes hand in hand with actors. And when you see great makeup, I'll never forget when they finally added like best makeup effects to the Academy Awards, and it was in '82 for the '81 awards, and American Werewolf in London won, and I was overjoyed. You watch Rick Baker get up and accept his award, the great Rick Baker. You know what that meant to me as a kid? I'm like, oh my God, Rick Baker won an award for making werewolf makeup, and Nazi werewolf makeup at that. I mean, those transformation scenes were incredible, and it was like, I think a whole generation of kids were galvanized by seeing that award. It was like wanting to watch Jaws win. That was my first Academy Awards, where I guess it was 76 for the 75 movies. It was because Jaws was the first time I remember being annoyed that it didn't win Best Picture. But
makeup should absolutely stay in. I mean, look at Vice. Look at any of these movies where they have prosthetics, where they have. I mean,
but here's the thing: you can make a legitimate argument for every category about, like, there will be passionate people who will get up and say, no, Best animated should stay, and here's why, and they'll make some really good arguments. Best hair and makeup should stay, and here's some legitimate arguments. Best editing should stay, and here are legitimate arguments. To me, it becomes about we're not cutting any of the categories, and it's not like we're not going to have Oscars for those categories, but does the average viewer at home, which categories do they care the most about? And if you're going to limit the show to 3 hours, which I think is a good move, and you don't want to take away, Ryan Gosling's acceptance speech, which, people want to see the acceptance speeches of the celebrities they know.
Right.
I get that. Then the notion of, hey, give some of them out during commercial breaks, announce who won a little bit later, they still go home with their Oscar, blah, blah, blah. I just think it comes to a point at some point you do have to say, we do have to take a scalpel to a couple of these and move them to the commercial breaks. They're still getting honored. They're still getting announced. But you don't do it with your key backbone disciplines like cinema. That's considered one of the major awards, and you're doing it to that? And I think there's a great argument to be made for Best Short Documentary. That takes more skill than I will ever have in my entire life. But you can't get around the argument that out of the, 25 million people watching at home, how many of them actually are invested in who's going to win Best Short Documentary? Very small of them. So you move those ones in.
Right.
They just seem to have their priorities completely screwed up. And you're right, Robert. I love the show, but it has become more about the show than the awards. And if nothing else, that whole idiotic contraption of an idea they had about having Best Popular category was all about diminishing the awards and increasing the profile of the show. And that is the underlying problem here.
Well, I also think that the real problem is the presentation itself is old. They have not innovated. They have not innovated the broadcast. I would like someone to come around and figure out, okay, you have a stage, you've got these musical numbers. Essentially, it's the same kind of thinking that's been around for 40 years. Why don't you figure out a way, find some creative producer who has another way to reconceptualize the entire presentation of the Oscars? Do something cool and unique. You've got people, it's like when they did those vignettes, like when Billy Crystal would do the vignettes and dance through the middle of the movies, they would recreate. That was really interesting and unique and innovative, and it made the show fun to watch. I think part of the reason people tune out is because the show itself is not well done. It's not innovative. It has not changed with the times. What you need is somebody to completely reconceptualize how the Oscars are presented.
See, I'll disagree with you on that, because there's something about the purity and the history to me of somebody gets on stage, your nominees are boom, 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 and the winner is and that person coming up and accepting the award. But all those little things that go in between that honor the year of movies, like the Billy Crystal vignettes, things that honor the movies and celebrate the movies. Yeah, they got to come up with something. But listen, we spent like 20 minutes on this topic, so we do need to move on. I have an opinion about this. Robert seems to have an opinion about this. I'm sure you all have an opinion about this. Share your opinion by jumping into the comments section below, because I'm telling you what, guys, I feel like I've just been told there's no Santa Claus. I am losing my faith in the Oscars. And I never thought that would ever happen to me. But at any rate. All right, let's move on. What's next?
Sounds like Rob might want a new cinematographer for the Oscars. I don't know.
Oh, man.
All right, moving on. Phil, to nobody's surprise, the Aquaman sequel was announced. Send it. I also read an update about the Trench movie on comicbookmovie.com. The article says, movie will feature both Jason Momoa and Amber Heard after all, while the focus will be placed on a beast who is new in DC Comics mythology, attacking our aquatic heroes.
Okay, first thing's this. That's not true. The thing about the Trench is not true. Both Variety and Hollywood Reporter have come out and stated that while the Trench movie, which we talked about the other day, is in development, it does not include Aquaman or Mera or anything like that. So let's not worry about that. As far as it's now official, I just see Morpheus right now going in other news.
Right.
Water, wet, Aquaman. Yeah, it's official. They're moving forward with Aquaman 2. What? They're doing a sequel? Look, obviously doing an Aquaman 2. And by the way, what the news is that they've brought on one of the writers. Well, the main screenplay writer from the first film. They've officially signed him on to start developing. He's also worked with James Wan on the Conjuring films before. I'm drawing a blank on his name. I know he's got 4 names, though.
Yeah,
it's like
it's a tough
Billy
name.
Bob, Luke Vissal, something like those. It's a 4-word name. Anyway, he's worked with James Wan. Obviously, James Wan's work is comfortable with him. Interesting enough, though, they haven't said that James Wan is coming back to do Aquaman 2.
Right.
He might produce, but he may not direct, but we'll have to see about that later. But it is become a no-brainer that they would do it. Look, to a lot of people's surprise, including this guy right here, who never thought this movie was going to make $800 million, let alone $1 billion, Aquaman, I believe, is the 7th biggest box office comic book movie of all time. Here, take a look. Let's put this in context a bit here. So the context for this is this. Aquaman is number 7. So at number 1, Avengers Infinity War, $2.04 billion. The second, still my favorite comic book movie of all time, Avengers, $1.51 billion. Then all three sweeping the top spots. Avengers movie. Third one, Avengers Age of Ultron, $1.4 billion. Then Black Panther, $1.134 billion. Iron Man 3 at $1.21 billion. Captain America Civil War at $1.15. Aquaman in there at the 7th spot, outpacing films like The Dark Knight Rises at $1.08 billion, The Dark Knight at $1 billion, and Spider-Man 3 at $890 million. And by the way, Aquaman is not only the 7th biggest box office film of all time for comic book movies, it is the 21st biggest all-time movie, period. Whoa. Of any movie of any genre. Aquaman is the 21st biggest box office movie worldwide of all time. In an era where comic book movies are the taste of the month, you're going to do a sequel. I don't think you ever could have found anybody on the street anywhere that says, yeah, I don't know if they'll go back to Atlantis. I think they told their story. I don't think they're going to go. So this is a no-brainer. I don't think that we both liked Aquaman very much.
Yeah.
I don't think the screenplay was necessarily the backbone strength of the movie. I didn't think it was horrible, nothing like that, but it wasn't like the big strength of the film. But hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So to me, this sounds like a common sense move. What do you think, Robert?
Absolutely. I was actually hoping they would announce Aquaman would be part of the Avatar sequels and go to Pandora and be underwater.
Because apparently, they were going to do underwater.
Yeah, maybe talk to the Pandorans and see if he could find Iowa. Maybe take Julie Andrews with him. That's what I was hoping. But I think, come on, how could you not want to see a sequel to this movie? This movie was such goofy fun. it was such an unabashed love letter to Ray Harryhausen and to the kind of epic fantasies that we don't. Why does every epic fantasy, even though there was an apocalyptic element to this, just like there was in Lord of the Rings and things like that, but there was a fun. Even though the world could have ended and all the surface dwellers like us could have died, it was still fun. I was like, wipe out all the land dwellers, but do it in a fun, colorful, shark riding, seahorse battling way.
You know where it all starts? That fun all starts with the character.
Right.
It starts with Aquaman, going all the way back to Justice League. I have always really liked the Aquaman we got in Justice League, even with the ridiculous memed 1,000 times, my man. That, I just love that incarnation of Aquaman. It is a fun yet deadly Aquaman that we got, and that kind of washed, no pun intended, that kind of washed over the entire Aquaman movie and carried it that whole way. So I hope moving forward to number 2, they do keep that DNA.
Yeah, me too.
And by bringing back the same writer, I think it kind of ensures that. So I think we're in good hands.
I think so too.
All right. Wait. Let's move on to the next email today.
Hank Dunn. Hey, John and Rob. Was wondering if you guys saw the new Shazam featurette. It's not a trailer or anything, but it made me more excited to see it. Thanks, and keep bringing on the filthy.
Yeah, Rob, they put out this new feature. First of all, I was doing a play-in chat last night, playing a little Star Wars Battlefront and talking, and somebody dropped in, hey, John, they just dropped a new trailer for Shazam. And I'm like, well, I know what I'm doing as soon as I'm done playing my game. And it's not a new trailer for Shazam. It is this featurette in which they show no footage that hasn't already been seen in one of the other spots. But what is different about it is you got Zachary Levi and some of his co-stars talking about the movie as they're doing it. And I actually found it really interesting and fun. But Robert, the thing that jumped out to me the most, that I thought was actually simple yet profound, that Zach Levi said, he said, Shazam is one of the only superheroes who just really digs being a superhero, And he said, you look at a lot of the other superheroes, it's like, oh, I have these powers and the world's in danger and I guess it's my responsibility to step up. He goes, no, that ain't Shazam. I'm like, cool, I'm a superhero. He's like that. And I thought about it when he said that. I'm like, actually, you're right. Like Logan, even Superman, Batman. Wonder Woman doesn't want to have anything to do with the world. Aquaman's like, leave me alone in my bar to drink. Blah, blah. All the Shazam? Woohoo, I'm a superhero. I want to fight bad guys. And that put a smile on my face. Watching the rest of this trailer footage again, looking at it through those eyes. And I'm going to agree with you. Although they showed no new footage, it made me even more excited for the movie. Like these featurettes that all the studios put out, I never care about them. This one brought a new level to it for me, and I dug it. What did you think about it?
You know, it's funny you said that because I watched it yesterday too, and I felt the same thing. And that featurette, just watching their interaction, the kid, and I don't know the kid's name, but then the kid and Zachary Levi sitting next to each other, you know, you could tell, just like on probably the set of Big, how much fun they had making this movie. And, you know, the whole idea of superheroes has been a wish fulfillment fantasy of mine since I was very little. And if I was turned into a superhero when I was a teenager, man, I would have loved that shit. There wouldn't have been one day where I wasn't having a good time. I'm like, I think I'll go to Paris today and I'll, you know, fly there and meet some Parisian girls and learn about fashion. Walk around in my suit. You know, who wouldn't love to be that guy? And that's what I think the movie... I think the funny thing is when he meets Dr. Zavanna, he's going to be like, bro, what's your problem? Like, why are we fighting? You know, I really want to get that whole, you're a bad guy? Like, why are you a bad guy? Isn't this fun? You know, I can't wait to see this movie. It looks so good.
I am getting more and more excited about it. And, you know, I know a lot of people were kind of apprehensive about the casting of Zach Levi at first. I, for one, though, right from the beginning was like, no, this is great.
Yeah.
If you understand the type of character that this is big in superhero world, Zach Levi not only kind of embodies the average geek dude, but he carries that, he's able to project that enthusiasm and that everything. I just knew he would be good for this role.
Well, you know, it's funny. There's the image on the key art where he's leaning against the wall and like he's eating the ice cream.
Yes.
And he's got this crook in his mouth. No other superhero would eat ice cream, relishing it the way Zachary Levi is. And that totally sells to me that character. You know, that Shazam's going to stop and get some gourmet ice cream and lean against the wall, and he's going to finish it before he flies off to whatever he is. Because he would be like, yo, man, this is my favorite ice cream. I would believe Shazam saying that. Again, they show it in that clip. They show when he runs off the roof, you know, and he just throws his arms out and says Shazam. I'm like, that's it, man. That's the whole movie in a nutshell.
It's the money shot. I love that shot.
I can't wait.
Getting kind of excited for this movie.
I know.
Getting kind of excited for this movie. All right. What's next?
All right. Next up is Anthony Neves. Greetings, gang. Variety is reporting that Paramount Studios has set a 2020 release date for Coming to America 2.
Wow.
I love the original film, and Eddie Murphy was definitely in his box office prime. I would love to see him make a comeback. Do you guys think it's too late for a sequel? Thanks, and love the show.
Okay, first of all, Anthony, I love Coming to America. And I knew I was going to love this movie right from near the beginning of the film when she says, the royal penis is clean, Your Highness. It's like, what? What? And then it just goes on from there. And despite the fact that it starts with a joke like that, there's a sweetness and an innocence to the movie as well, so with Eddie Murphy and Arsenio Hall, and you know, and it kind of launched this whole thing of him playing 8 different characters, and you know, it was just whether it's Soul Glow or whether it's
they got to bring back Sexual Chocolate.
Well,
the band Sexual Chocolate must come back.
This is a treasure of a movie. Coming to America is a treasure of a movie. And I hope somehow, some way they can get James Earl Jones. I hope they don't say his character's passed away.
No, come on.
I hope they get James Earl Jones back because he looked badass because he just looked huge.
Yeah.
You know what? He looked like Kingpin. He looked like because when he would walk into set and he'd have the furs over his shoulder, he just looks like Kingpin from Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. He looked awesome. And it's coming out in August of 2020. They've talked about this film for years. Is it too late? Fair question. Is it too late? I would almost say this, Rob, and I don't know if you're going to think this is crazy because it might be. There came a point about 7 years ago that I think Coming to America became too late. That Coming to America 2 was too late. But as 7 more years have passed, it's almost like we've come back into her. Now we're in this sweet spot of a nostalgia play on something like that. And I'll tell you what, it couldn't come at a better time for one Eddie Murphy. because Eddie Murphy, who was the biggest star in Hollywood for a long period of time, his last number of years, here's his last, like since Dreamgirls in 2006. And there were some stinkers before that, but this is just his last 6 films. Norbit in 2007, Rotten Tomatoes rating of 9%, box office 159 million total. 2008, Meet Dave, Rotten Tomatoes rating of 20%, box office of only 50 million total. In 2009, Imagine That, Rotten Tomatoes rating of 41%, box office of only 22 million. Tower Heist, which by the way, I liked. I like Tower Heist, but Tower Heist Rotten Tomato rating is 67%, box office 152 million. Then 1,000 Words, you're reading that right, folks, a Rotten Tomatoes rating of 0. Not a single critic out of 300 plus liked the film. Box office, apparently nobody else did either, 22 million. And then Mr. Church came out in 2016, which I thought looked fantastic. The premise of the movie is great. And it's got I can't remember the actress's name, but she was in Californication with David Duchovny. She played David Duchovny's wife in it. And then she was...
Natasha Lyonne? Not Natasha Lyonne, Natasha McElhone.
Then she was
Irish
also
actress.
yes. And then she was also in Designated Survivor with Kiefer Sutherland.
Yeah, she was in Ronin.
Oh my God, I
movie,
totally
Ronin.
forgot about that. The movie looked really good. It looked like this could be an Oscar thing, and it just was not executed right. Rotten Tomatoes rating 24%, made $685,000 at the box office. Granted, only opened in about 400 theaters, so not a big thing. Eddie Murphy, if there was any performer in Hollywood that could really use a resurgence, it's Eddie Murphy. And if there's any performer in Hollywood that I think would be a real kick to see get a big resurgence, it's Eddie Murphy. I'll just tell you what, straight up, I love the idea of Coming to America 2. Could it be a disaster? Yes. Dumpster fire? Absolutely. Does he bring back Arsenio Hall? Who knows? Are they getting the original director? Nope. It's Landis isn't coming back to direct.
Right.
Is it the original screenwriters? No, it's not the original screenwriters either. But it's still Coming to America. Might be awful, but I think this is a great idea and probably a good time to take a shot at it. Rob, what do you think?
Completely agree. I love Coming to America. You know, Eddie Murphy in the 80s was he wasn't just a deft comedic performer. You know, he didn't just come off Delirious and Raw, 2 of the greatest comedy specials, Saturday Night Live. He was so good in Another 48 Hours.
Yep.
And especially one of my favorite 80s movies is Beverly Hills Cop.
Oh, sure.
Which is the perfect blend of comedy and
I
action.
thought Beverly Hills Cop 2 was great as well.
Yeah, Beverly Hills Cop 2.
Oh,
Tony's.
and everybody hates The Golden Child. I love The Golden Child.
I
don't
want
care.
the knife. Come on, The Golden Child's so
I must
good.
be purged. I love The Golden Child.
The Golden Child is Charles Dance, and The Golden Child is great. But I love the idea of bringing back. I want to see how was the Matthew McConaissance, the Renaissance.
the McConaissance.
I want to see a Eddie Murphy-sance. I want Eddie Murphy to come back. I want him to reestablish himself as box office gold. I love Eddie Murphy. I'd love to see this movie come out and just knock it out of the park.
I will be
really would.
very disappointed if it's not really good, though.
Yeah.
I'll be very disappointed.
It better be the Creed of Coming to
Yes,
America
that's a
movies.
that's a great
That's what
analogy.
I want to be. I
love
want to be
that.
like Creed.
That's fantastic. All right, let's move on now to the final email of the day.
The final one is from Ron Baylor. Hey, John. So Red Sonja was supposed to be on the way after so many years of being in development hell. But now I'm reading that the movie has been put on hold again. My first assumption was that it was because of the controversy surrounding Bryan Singer, but the report says that he's actually still attached to the movie. So I guess the simple question is, will this movie actually happen, and should it?
I was really surprised, to be honest with you, when the announcement first came out that they were going to try to get Red Sonja going again, and and Bryan Singer was going to do it, and all that kind of stuff. Like, first of all, I was surprised back when Robert Rodriguez said he was going to do it just so he could put his girlfriend at the time,
Rose McGowan.
Rose McGowan, in it. When, let's face it, that's the only reason he was putting the movie together, so he could put Rose McGowan in it. So I was surprised at that time, but it stuck around and stuck around and stuck around. Now, look, it should not surprise anybody too much. Every year, there are tons of movie projects every year that get announced, bring on directors, bring on writers, and they just don't make it to the screen. Or they don't even make it to getting in front of cameras. That's not unusual, and it's not rare. You're talking about making these movies. That's a big investment. It's a big investment of time, energy, and money. It's huge. And you've got to strike at the right time when you believe you have all the right pieces in place and all the stars are aligned, because it's a tough business. A lot of film fans think it's just easy. Just make a movie, put it out. You're going to make billions of dollars. It's not the way it works. I was like you, though, Rob, when I first heard about, it's been put on the shelf for now. It's been put on hold. My first thought was, it's probably because of the controversy surrounding Bryan. But it's not. It's apparently Bryan is still attached. So I think this is probably just another one of those situations where they're not ready. They're not ready to sink when you count marketing and everything involved, the probably $250 to $275 million it's going to take. Remember, that includes marketing and everything. To make this movie and to put it out and market it right, they're probably just thinking they don't have all the pieces yet. I still think Red Sonja will happen. I still think it'll happen at some point, just maybe not in the next 2 years. What do you think?
Yeah, I think, look, Bryan's got a lot of things he's got to take care of, exonerate. He's got to exonerate himself from a lot of these charges. But also a friend of mine, Ashley Miller, was writing the script.
Oh, that's right.
And
Yeah.
Ashley wrote, I've known Ashley. I got him on a job when he wrote Agent Cody Banks with Zack Stentz. And Ashley wrote X-Men First Class. He wrote a draft of that with Zack. And I always hate to see when friends of mine are working on a project that doesn't happen. And then a lot of people are out of work. But I think Red Sonja will eventually get made. I think that maybe in this day and age, maybe you need a Patty Jenkins, or you need a female group that's going to make the film. I don't normally think that necessarily is always the case, but I think that maybe Red Sonja does need a female perspective. I don't know.
Well, the reason I think this is still probably going to happen is because of the environment right now. Female lead, heroic type of movies can be a hot thing right now. And something like Red Sonja, which is a name a lot of people recognize. And look, it's taking us back to barbarian stuff, which I love. I think there's potential there. Maybe something like that, bringing in a Patty Jenkins type, maybe. But I'm like you. I don't believe for a second that only men can direct male lead movies, or that only.
No, I don't either. But I think that now we have a time where we can see an interesting perspective.
Yeah, I think that's true.
Could be.
All right,
I'm not
guys.
one of those guys either.
That will do it for the emailed in topics today. But as we like to do here on the John Campea Show, we like to save a little bit of time, take some live questions. I've been seeing that the chat board is particularly active today. So let's dive right into it. What do we got in the live chat board, Ashley?
All right, the first one is Chandra Sakara. Guys, imagine Thanos with a fully assembled gauntlet upon seeing death start snapping his fingers to the tune of MJ's The Way You Make Me Feel. How many times 50% of life would end and come back?
Always good to cross a Thanos and a Michael Jackson.
Why hasn't someone made that fan film yet?
There's a
I
fan film.
want to see that.
Walking down the street snapping.
All right, what's next?
Techno Vine. I love Inglourious Bastards, fave Tarantino movie flick.
Yeah, a lot of people there, and for very good reason, will go to Pulp Fiction, Reservoir Dogs. I go Inglourious Bastards. Funny thing, I hated Inglourious Bastards the first time I watched it.
I love it.
Wow.
It was fast forward months later. I was new in LA and had a date. Invited the girl over, sat down. What do you want to watch? She wanted to watch Inglourious Bastards. I'm like, but she wants to watch it, fine. And then I watched it again. I'm like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
What was I in a bad mood that day? And it is my favorite Quentin Tarantino movie now. What about yours?
The opening scene in that film within the farmhouse
Best.
when they're going the back and forth,
Christoph
and
Waltz,
at the very minute, the moment the camera pans down and you realize the Jewish family's underneath the floorboards. That scene is so beautifully constructed, and it's so suspenseful that, like all of Tarantino's films, there's such great craft. But I mean, this is going to be an unpopular opinion. I'm a Quentin Tarantino fan, but my favorite Quentin Tarantino movie is still Reservoir Dogs.
Oh, no, a lot of people love that movie.
I was so knocked out by Reservoir Dogs when I saw it, just because, it's basically people talking to each other in the way you never see the heist and the way they play with time, going back and forth. I loved it.
What was your favorite one?
I love Inglourious Bastards. I was going to say, I agree. That was my favorite. Yeah. But there's so many great films to choose from, but I would like to watch them all back to back and be like, okay, now this is my favorite. Because things change. If you see something 10 years ago, you're holding on to that.
But where are all these people complaining, but it's not historically accurate?
Oh, it's so good.
Give me a break. It's
Dude,
awesome.
they played David Bowie's Putting Out Fire from the Cat People soundtrack, and not even off, Let's Dance, the album it was on?
All right, what's next?
Fred F. Thoughts on The Shield, one of my fave shows ever.
Oh no, it's great. It's one of those foundational shows. Like if you want to say, hey, put together a list for me like the 10 greatest shows maybe ever made to give a good foundation of what good television is. Shield's got to be one. Michael Chiklis.
It's great.
Yeah, wasn't Walton Goggins in that too?
I think he was.
I think he was in that one. Yeah, he was
think he
great. All right,
was.
what's next?
Jay Bling, Alexandra Daddario. Celebrated getting 10 million
saw
Instagram
this.
followers by posting a pic of herself wearing a shirt that said, "Stop staring at my eyes."
First of all, everybody knows how in love with Alexandra Daddario is. True story for those who haven't heard it. Alexandra Daddario is so physically stunning that when her infamous scene on True Detective happened, where she has the sex scene with Woody Harrelson, and she takes her top off and all that kind of stuff. You know how I found out about that?
Watching the show?
No, because I wasn't even watching the show yet.
Oh.
I started watching it several episodes later. My wife texted me and sent me a link because the video clip was put online. She goes, "Oh my God, you got to see this." When your wife is sending you a message saying you have to see, because this is just unnatural how good looking she is, and he was like, "What?" But so she hits 10 million subscribers on Instagram, 10 million followers on Instagram, and she puts up a picture of herself with a shirt that says "Stop staring at my eyes," which I think shows her humor. Mm-hmm. She's hilarious. She's in touch. And by the way, because her eyes, oh my God, her eyes are stunning.
Oh, don't try and pull a fast one on us.
No,
Come on.
Look at her. Her eyes are crazy. Like,
No, they are. No,
beautiful.
She's exquisite.
But yeah, that's why I
And
like
funny.
her so much.
You got to love that.
All right, what's next?
Zach Bartron. Well, I'm glad Roger Deakins won before his bull.
Yeah, you were pointing that out
Yeah.
about that scene. Absolutely.
I mean, the guy had so many nominations. You want to see him get up.
But again, as much as I have really negatively reacted to this, let us keep in mind that even if this had been in place when Roger Deakins won, at some point in the telecast, we would have seen Roger Deakins standing at the front, giving probably an abbreviated version of his speech. But yes, thank goodness it happened already. All right, what's next?
Nathan Oswald. What's the difference between a treatment and an outline?
Rob, how would you?
Well, a treatment is a more novelistic approach. Like an outline is literally an outline, but a treatment James Cameron used to write script mints. So he would write like an 80-page novelized version of what he would later write as a screenplay. So, an outline is basically just like an outline. It's bullet points, but a treatment is a much more fleshed out version of an outline.
There's a great story that Kevin Smith tells when he was asked by Warner Brothers to write an outline for what his Superman movie would look like. And he said he turned in like a 70-page outline because I didn't know what they meant by that.
Right.
Like, outlines usually like 7 pages. I'll be honest with you, I've always used the terms almost interchangeably. I admit that. It's like when I say something, I write up a treatment for that. Like I usually mean just write up like a quick synopsis or like a 4 or 5 page treatise, if you will.
Well, see, like if you wanted to go like, okay, act 1, scene 1, and then you write just bullet points, and then scene 2, bullet points, scene 3, that to me is an outline, and then a treatment, you'd flesh those out.
All right, what's next?
Samuel Pillay. I saw Alita last night, but I had to walk out after 2 minutes. The Dolby Cinema 3D uses these horrible goggles that make this awful halo effect in your field of view. Avoid it for the main release.
Oh, dude, I avoid it as soon as it says 3D. I just avoid it like the plague. Just as soon as I see 3D, I'm out. Unless there's no other options to watch it, I'm already out. And it is unfortunate, though, because there are people who enjoy 3D and like going to theaters in 3D, and sometimes you don't have proper 3D, and it created a distorted vision or overly dark glasses or whatever. And that I feel bad. I mean, I never would have walked in that theater in the first place, but I feel especially bad for people who do enjoy that, and yet their experience gets ruined because of a technical issue like this. It's unfortunate. Have you ever had something like that happen, Rob? I know you appreciate.
I love 3D, but I cannot stand when presentation isn't done correct. It's like, figure it out, people. Figure it out.
All right, what's next?
All right, Willow Yang. Finally watched There Will Be Blood. Incredible performance by Louis Da and Dano. Loved the ending. That was total pawnage. Fave Louis performance.
Well, look, Daniel Day-Lewis, I've said, he is the greatest actor of all time. Period, and stop, bar none. He's the GOAT. And I also believe that his performance in There Would Be Blood is probably the best performance of the last 20 years. Minimum. Maybe somebody else has snuck in a better performance, but in the last 20 years, there has never been a better performance. And the only bad thing about his performance in that is the fact that Paul Dano will probably gave the best performance of his and a lot of other people's careers.
Yeah.
But we don't talk about it because it just happened to be in the same movie with Daniel Day-Lewis, because Dano's amazing in it. And yes, the I drink your milkshake. I drink it up. It's one of the great end scenes of a movie, and it's brutal and it's visceral. But yeah, I gotta go. I mean, My Left Foot, I love him in Last of the Mohicans. I don't even think he got an Academy Award nomination.
I love
for that.
Last Mohicans.
And I don't think he got nominated. It's one of the few movies he's done that he didn't get an Academy Award nomination for.
Yeah.
But I gotta go. There Will Be Blood.
Look, I loved him as Bill the Butcher in Gangs of New York, too.
Yes.
And I'll tell you something. I love Lincoln. A lot of people don't like Lincoln.
I do.
I loved The Phantom Thread. And he plays. Look, it's not a showy performance. It's a very quiet performance. But man, I love that movie
because he does things only he can do.
Guys, I got to wear for a Vanity Fair event. Mark Bridges, the costume designer who won the Oscar for Phantom Thread, I got to be one of the models at a Vanity Fair event and wear the actual costumes. Yeah,
I thought you were going to say you got to wear Daniel Day-Lewis.
I met Mark Bridges, and then there were like 12 of us, and then it was really exciting. I got to wear these actual beautiful garments because he got everything shipped over, like, hand-picked lace, like exactly identical to the time period, and it was very exciting. So,
I love that movie.
And I used to work with Paul Dano's sister for an ABC show called Army Wives back in the day. So I met Sarah Dana and Paul Dano, and they are wonderful. Yeah.
Very cool. All right.
Two little facts. Mike Hill. I have a strong feeling Kang is in Endgame, especially is time travel. If time travel is involved.
Well, there's a big assumption right there. If time travel, which we don't know that is, and even if there is, just because there's a time travel character who's been able to utilize time travel doesn't mean they're automatically in it. Just like somebody wrote to me the other day saying, "Hey, Star-Lord said in Guardians 1 that he almost had his throat ripped out by a Kree girl he was dating because he cheated on her. Do you think that could have been Captain Marvel?" Well, there are billions of Kree girls, so I don't think so.
She'd be older than him, too.
So, yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of people jumping up. It's certainly possible. I ain't going to say it's impossible, but I doubt it.
I just think that there's another villain. I mean, the idea, like Thanos, he did it. He did what he was supposed to do. To go back and, like, we have to stop him from doing this is totally anticlimactic to, if you're thinking about drama, because he did it already. So if they're going to go, whatever they're going to do and go back in time and prevent him from doing it, just doesn't seem to be that interesting of a movie, no matter what they do. A new villain, however, with a different wrinkle that we haven't thought of yet, that's interesting.
I just don't know how you keep that under wraps at this point.
I don't know.
It'd be interesting to see, though. They have pulled stuff like that off before. All right, what's next?
Willow Yang. Also, Will's genie reminds me of Tobias Funke.
I'm not sure who he's talking about.
I don't.
It's Arrested Development.
Oh, Tobias.
Arrested Development.
Oh, yeah, now I know what you're talking about. Yeah, at first you were going to say Tobias Whale. Really? Reminds you of the villain from Black Lightning? Okay, now I see what you're saying. That's clever. All right, what's next?
Romy J. Royster, Happy Deathday 2 was great. I love how it explores how Tree gained the ability to repeat the same day, blending horror, comedy, and sci-fi in one movie.
Well, most people have not had a chance to see it yet because it doesn't. I mean, so clearly you got to go to an early fan screening. It opens in theaters today, technically, because tomorrow's the official opening day, which always means the night before. But I'm glad to hear that, Romy, because I love the first one. And
yeah.
I haven't known if the second one's going to be good. It's nice to hear some positive word of mouth about it. It's good to hear. Thanks for sharing that. All right, what's next?
Murray Rich. Hey, Rob, what are your thoughts on the Chucky films? I've seen so far 4, and I've only liked the first the best. By the way, what do you think of the trailer?
Well, you and I talked about that yesterday. I mean, the Chucky movies, I agree with you. The first one I thought was great. I liked Bride of Chucky, but the whole idea, if you grew up watching Dead of Night, which was in the 40s, and especially Talking Tina, the Twilight Zone episode, my name is Talking Tina.
One of the most horrifying things I've ever seen in my life.
And You Better Be Nice to Me. I mean, the Chucky movies are fine, and Brad Dourif, any time I can get more Brad Dourif, and I like the trailer. But as a franchise, I think the first movie was the best movie. And I thought the first movie was actually really pretty good.
I didn't sleep for a week as a kid when I saw the rerun of that Twilight Zone and heard Talking Tina go, "I'm Talking Tina, and I'm going to kill you."
Yeah.
Oh.
It's like, okay, that's it. No more sleep for me. Take all my sister's dolls and throw them out into the backyard.
And the actress, whoever was, I don't remember the name of the voice actress who did that. She's like, "And you better be nice to me."
Do you know who the actor playing the dad
Telly
was?
Savalas.
Was it Telly
Was it Telly
Savalas?
Savalas? Yeah. Wasn't it?
I thought it was the guy who played Mel in Alice.
You might be right, but I remember. I think it was. I don't know.
I would have said no, but now you say that it might have been.
I think it was Telly Savalas.
I thought it was the only other thing I'd ever seen. The cook Mel,
right,
from Allison. And maybe I'm wrong about that. Maybe it was
because that was. I'm trying to think of who that was. That was God, I can't remember. Fact check, Jonathan.
But oh my God,
I'm looking it up.
If you have not seen the Talking Tina episode of Twilight Zone, you want to see what real great, without needing blood and gore, you want to see real horror. Oh my God, that scared the shit out of me.
I think people should, if your kids will watch black and white things, I think every 7-year-old kid should watch that episode.
All right, what's next?
Dolls freak me out. My mom had so many porcelain dolls. Like, what is up with moms and porcelain dolls? I don't understand. Zack Bartron, if they do another Power Rangers movie, they should choose another team rather than Mighty Morphin to focus on. I mean, there are 19 better options like Time Force, which is considered one of the best.
I'll guarantee you right now, no, they won't. They won't. I don't even. It won't even matter. I'll tell you what. There's a really high probability it won't be Mighty Morphin or Time this or Dinos that or whatever. It'll just be Power Rangers. That's the thing. And I guarantee you this, Zach. I absolutely 100% guarantee you, it wouldn't have made one lick of difference at the box office with if you had called it based on this team or that team or whatever.
Yeah.
It was an origin story. They did it that way. And the effects were pretty good. It ended up being a decent little movie that I enjoyed, but it wouldn't have made one lick of difference if they had called it something else.
Yeah, I completely agree with you.
All right, what's next?
It is Telly Savalas.
There you go. See, I've always my
You
whole
were a
life thought it was
kid.
something. I was a kid, yes. All right, what's next?
Suthius, 85. Hope everyone is doing well. Do y'all have any bad movie dates to share? When my wife was new to the States, I took her to see Dragon Ball Evolution. Yup, something that I regret to this day. For her sake and mine, take care.
Oh, I do.
You go first, then, because I got a bad one, too. I hope yours is worse than mine.
I took a date to a movie called The Boys Next Door. I believe it was Maxwell Caulfield and Charlie Sheen who play these kids that they become serial killers. They come out to L.A., and it's a horribly brutal, very inappropriate date movie that I took this girl to. And she was really, really not happy with me. And I felt terrible for weeks. I kept thinking about it because I kind of liked the movie. Not for her.
Yeah.
Don't ever take your first date to a serial killer film when it's not good.
I'd like it.
Well,
Okay, so this one time,
in band camp?
this one time at band camp, still back in the day, living up in Canada, I took this girl that I was really interested in out to. I made the mistake of doing dinner then a movie. That was a mistake, but we went to dinner first. But we already knew each other. And it was going really well. And then we were heading to this mall to go to a movie theater in a mall. And I thought, this thing keeps going this well, we're going to end up back at my place, which is what young guys think.
Right.
So I make no apologies for that. So I'm thinking, this is going great. So we go see the movie, and I can't even remember the name of the movie. So this wasn't the movie's fault, all right?
Uh-oh.
But it goes great. We're laughing, chuckling. She even starts to hold my arm in the theater as we're watching. I'm like, this is great, because I like this girl, right? So we leave the theater, get in the car in the mall parking lot to leave, and I start to drive out. And she spots 5 cars down in the parking lot as I'm pulling out, her ex-boyfriend getting into a car that she still had a thing for. And she goes, oh, can we stop for a second? Okay. And we stop for a second. And she ends up talking to this guy for 10 minutes with me sitting in the driver's seat. And then it's just like, I think I just need to go home now.
Dude,
it's like,
that's
that
brutal.
Was my bad date experience. Moral of the story, guys, don't stop the car. say, I don't know, I can't.
That's a good. That's you got to put that in your relationship advice book.
Yeah, that's the line of a serial killer. I can't.
Yeah,
don't stop the
Don't
car.
stop the car.
Anyway,
So okay, that's my bad. Do you got any bad dates that stem from movies?
God, I can't remember, but I mean, I watched Mulholland Drive with my mom, and I don't recommend. Awkward.
That's
there
awkward.
was, that scene with Naomi Watts, and she just gets up and starts fluffing pillows all around my mom. Just starts like being like, "Well, I'm gonna go cook something," and I'm like, "All right, God, terrible choice. Don't recommend that."
All right, what's next?
All right, I'm upset. Over under 17%. Miles Morales appear in Far From Home.
0. It's absolute 0. They can't have a live action incarnation of him right now. Any other ideas, thoughts on that?
Completely agree.
All right, what's next?
Jonathan Walls, is Cary Grant the GOAT comedic actor?
No.
Yeah, I don't
No,
think so either.
I mean, all-time great, but there are several I would put
Yeah.
in front of him. Like we were just talking earlier, Eddie Murphy. Like, yeah, we all think of the last 15 years or so, but he was the guy. Billy Crystal for what? Steve Martin.
Peter Sellers.
Peter Sellers. I mean, and now today, Steve Carell. I mean, I wouldn't say
But Cary Grant is definitely one of the great actors
Yes.
and great screen presences of all
For
time.
sure.
If you haven't seen
No
his
shade
movie
on that.
Charade, which everyone thinks Alfred Hitchcock directed, but he didn't. Stanley Donen directed. Audrey Hepburn, Walter Matthau, and him.
All right, what's next?
Take it out.
The
Check it out.
Don. The whole talk about script rights and Genie reminds me of my biggest guilty pleasure, Big Fat Liar.
Which one was Big Fat Liar again?
The Jim Carrey movie?
No,
it's
that was
Liar,
Liar,
Liar.
Liar.
Was that Liar Liar? What is Big Fat? Okay, I don't remember.
Now I got to look it up. Sorry, which one was Big Fat Liar? It's not the one with Jack Black, is it? I don't think it's the one with Jack. I don't think I'm thinking of that one.
Oh,
I don't think I saw this.
I have not seen it either.
So I'll just take your word for it. All right, what's next?
Nathan Oswald. What's your favorite Hall & Oates song?
Probably Here She Comes.
That's Maneater,
That's
right?
Maneater. That's
Yeah.
Maneater.
I was going to say, yeah, that's only because I was looking for her my whole life. Still.
She's a Maneater. But they were, by the way, they were like the biggest thing in the world for a long time. I remember for the longest time, they held the record for like the all-time record for like most top 10 hits.
Yeah.
By a band and blah, blah, blah. But a lot of people don't even think of them when the conversations of some of the most successful bands of all time come up. Interesting. All right, what's next?
James L.H. Hi, John. Seen Snowpiercer after talking on open mic. Liked it. How frustrating must it be to creators when a film is released 6 years to other markets?
Well, I don't know. I think if you're a filmmaker and you think, okay, well, my film has done everything it's going to do. But then years later, you go, no, we are getting released in even more markets. Like, really, my movie's still getting steam? I just think that's a good thing.
Get it? Steam like a train?
Yeah.
Brr. No, I bought that. I bought the Hong Kong. That was a movie I bought a Hong Kong Blu-ray for and then got a steelbook for later. You know they're doing a TV series now.
Yes.
And I like Snowpiercer a lot. It's based on a graphic novel. It's a graphic novel adaptation. I liked it. I thought it was really good.
All right, what's next?
Nathan Oswald. Since Disney is acquiring Fox, will Dr. Frankenfurter be considered a Disney princess?
I'm freezing. Which one?
Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Right.
I hope so because, boy, I think I would love to see the Rocky Horror cast team up with the cast of Frozen and bust out. I mean, there's a Rocky Horror sequel I want to see.
All right, what's next?
Canada Rocks. I'm going to the hour 45 showing of Wandering Earth RMB. Did you end up seeing it last night?
I didn't. I ended up having to work, but I want to go tonight. I think it's at 10:15 at the Edwards Alhambra Cinemas in IMAX 3D, so maybe there tonight. I can't wait. What'd you think?
All right, next.
Nathan Oswald. It's been almost 40 years since Lennon was killed.
Really?
On my birthday. December
Wow.
8th.
Really?
Wow.
I 40 years. Wow.
It's bad.
All right, what's next?
It's bad. Big Four, Damn, and Alfie Gamer. Ashley's beautiful. Thanks. Meh. Artur Mansouri.
On the inside.
Inside only. Fave movie pre-1970s. Thoughts on Face Off?
Well, that's two questions. I'll answer the one on Face Off. Love Face Off.
So good. So
If
good.
I were to ask you to, no, let me rephrase. If I were to let you suck my tongue, would you be grateful? Oh,
I just like the fact that there's a character named Pollux Troy. I love that. Favorite pre-1970s movie? That's tough, man. There's a million of them.
Yeah,
I
nice.
think, you know what though? I'm gonna go with All About Eve and Sunset Boulevard as a tie.
Nice choice.
all right. What's next?
Hitchcock, too, for me. Callum, hi all, love the show. Which upcoming Star Wars project are you most interested to see? The Mandalorian, Star Wars Episode 9, or something else?
Oh, no, it's Episode 9. I'm dying for The Mandalorian, but it's got to be Star Wars Episode 9, that one. And as far as those are the only really two ones that we know for sure We know there's others going to come, but we don't know what they are 100% locked, loaded, and ready to go.
Yeah, I'm not, because I'm not overall a fan of this final Star Wars trilogy. I'm going with The Mandalorian because the creative team really excites me. The actors really excite me. I think we're going to get something special with The
I can't wait to
Mandalorian.
see it. All right, what's next?
Andrew Lee, sometimes I feel Steve Carell is having the career I expected from Greg Kinnear.
Kinnear.
Kinnear,
Yeah.
excuse me. Do you ever get the sense from them or any other set of actors?
Greg Kinnear, I mean, he has had a fabulous career.
Yeah.
And I've always said, no matter how many Academy Award nominations you get, whatever, he will always be Captain Amazing to me. He will always be Captain Amazing from The Mystery Men. He is so great in that. But he's been in some of my favorite movies, As Good as It Gets. I think he got an Academy Award nomination
I
for
think
that.
he did too.
And then in the remake of Sabrina that he did with Harrison Ford, and Julia Ormond, I love Sabrina. I love that movie. He's been in a lot of really good stuff. And you're right. I expected him to have a really, really huge career. It didn't. He's had a very successful career, better than 99% of actors. But I thought it would have been a little bit bigger, maybe deserved to be a little bit bigger. But Steve Carell is enjoying that for sure.
He used to be an accountant. Greg Kinnear used to be
didn't
an
know
accountant at Full Moon Entertainment, where I used to work.
Woo!
Whoa.
Yeah.
I love him. I mispronounce his name, but I do love him.
Right, too. All right, what's next?
Householder films. Which film still scares you to this day?
Well, it's obvious for me, American Werewolf in London.
Exorcist for me.
All right, what's next?
Richard K. If they all had fought each other, who would win? John Wick, Agent 47, Robert McCall, Brian Mills, or John McLean? Your thoughts?
Oh, that's a no. That's John Wick.
John Wick.
John Wick wins that fight. Yeah.
Yeah.
He might not be the best strategist of all of them, but John Wick straight up fight, he wins that fight. All right, what's next?
Patrick Conway. Imagine if Endgame begins with a scene similar to the Scott and Cassie play scene in
Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Yeah, but with Hawkeye and his family all happy then dust.
Oh.
That's really dark.
Yeah, I mean, look, when we see Hawkeye in that everybody standing looking sad trailer, there's pain in them eyes. There's pain in them eyes, and I don't doubt at all. Remember how Batman versus Superman started? Look, whatever you think about Batman versus Superman, the beginning of that movie is brilliant.
It's so good.
Flashing back to the events of Man of Steel from the perspective of Bruce Wayne. I thought that was brilliant. I would not be surprised at all if Endgame pulls something similar to going back to the dusting from other people's perspectives. Maybe it's Hawkeye. Maybe it's somebody else. I don't know. But when we do see Hawkeye in that trailer, there's pain in those eyes, and maybe they'll set that up for us in the beginning. I wouldn't be surprised at all. It's a good call.
You know, it's funny that Carrie Coon, the actress who played Proxima Midnight in Infinity War, starred in The Leftovers, where she lost she lost her whole family. They got dusted, but they all disappeared.
Right.
I wonder if that's why they picked her for Infinity War.
Well, you didn't actually see her.
That's true, but it was still her.
All right, what's next?
Richard K. Luke Evans for Bond. Your thoughts?
I don't care. You know me, guys. What do you think of X actor and X role? I don't care as long as he's a great actor. Luke Evans is a great actor.
I think he's a great actor. I don't like him for Bond, though. I don't know why. I don't know.
All right, what's next?
Richard K. Vince McMahon for president. Your thoughts?
No, that's idiotic. That's completely idiotic. No, absolutely not. No. All right, what's next?
Jeff Crow. Lena Headey, who plays Queen Cersei Lannister in Game of Thrones, was also Spartan Queen Gorgo in 300, 2006. Do you ever remember actors like that? Oh, she was that character from that movie and that show.
Oh, Lena Headey was also like Mother in Judge Dredd. She was great in that.
She was so good in Judge Dredd.
And then she had her Terminator show. Lena Headey is just a character. She's an actress you just don't forget. You don't forget.
Plus,
Lena.
if you see her on talk shows and things, I recently saw she just appeared on some talk. She's great. What a cool lady she is.
She is great. And sure. There's many times with actors you see in something, it's like, oh, that's right. They were in this. Like Michelle Pfeiffer was in Grease too. What? We come across those all the time, every day. It's always kind of cool when you can pick one of those out. All right, what's next?
Give Luigi a ring. Hey guys, Gladiator is one of my all-time favorites. Joaquin Phoenix is so good.
Yeah.
Can't wait to see his Joker. Leto's didn't do it for me at all, sadly.
See, Leto's did work for me. There was a lot of people who Jared Leto's Joker didn't work. I thought it worked in the sense that how do you make another Joker that's completely different from the other Jokers but still has that DNA of a Joker in him? And I really liked it. If anything, one of my big complaints about Suicide Squad 2 is I want to see more of Joker and Harley together.
Could not agree more.
Yeah, so as far as Gladiator, I mean, yeah. I mean, yes. And it will be when me and the Patreon supporters do get around to starting, because we're going to start a movie club where once every 2 weeks, we're just going to pick one movie, and then we're just going to do a live stream with just the Patreon supporters, just talking about that movie with the Patreon supporters. And we've been saying for a while, when we do our first one, it will be Gladiator.
That's a great idea.
That we do. So
God,
I'm
I
really
love
looking
that
forward
movie.
to. Oh, it's so good. All right, what's next? Strength and Honor.
I'm upset. What film killed Eddie Murphy's career?
It was a death by 1,000 cuts.
Yep.
It wasn't Norbit. It wasn't 1,000 Words. It wasn't some of the ones that came before it. It was a slow death by 1,000 cuts. And it just started to peter and peter and peter. And yeah, I really don't think it's not like you can point to when that one age of comic book movies was going, what killed it? It was Batman and Robin. I mean, that was that killed the comic book genre until X-Men came along. But with Eddie Murphy, I don't think that such a thing exists.
Yeah, I mean, look, he reached his zenith and he did things like, I'm going to direct Harlem Nights, you know,
Right.
and it was sometimes you fly too close to the sun, your wings burn off, just like Icarus, and you fall to earth. I think that's what happened to Eddie Murphy.
And then the weirdest thing in 2006, he actually turns in a great performance and gets an Academy Award nomination for Dreamgirls. And you think, and it didn't. Oh, all right. What's next?
Spencer Main, You're My Mission. Then finish it, because I'm with you till the end of the line.
Winter Soldier. It's the first line is, of course, from Bucky saying, "You're my mission." No, because the first thing Cap says, "You're my friend," and he says, "You're my mission." He says, "Because I'm with you." In the line, repeating something that Bucky said to him earlier in the film after his mother had died. Beautiful moment, beautiful scene, fantastic movie. All right, what's next?
Razor Edge Frisbee. Love you guys. And Ashley, you're fantastic. Thank you. Love hearing you give your thoughts on various topics. You and Rob are my favorite co-hosts John's ever had. Thank you.
Oh, isn't that nice?
It's nice.
Now, granted, I've had a lot of trash as my co-hosts over the years. No, I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding. I have been, look, one of the great honors of my career has been having some tremendously gifted, talented people as co-hosts with me over the years, whether it's a Dennis Zen or an Amy Rose Eisenbach or the great John Schnepp or a Mark Ellis or Christian Harloff or, things like that, on and on and on. I've had the privilege of working with some really, really great people, and these are two of the best I get to work with right now, and it's always makes me have a little skip in my step that I get to come into the studio and do a show with these guys every day.
I'm all verklempt.
All right, what's next?
Folsom 53. Do we have any reason to believe that Rian Johnson's Star Wars trilogy isn't happening? A lot of people think it's canceled. What are your thoughts?
No, the last official thing I heard was that it's still on. We all know that Ryan is working on that crazy stacked, packed cast movie. I think it's called Knives Out.
Yeah, Knives Out.
That everybody is in, from Chris Evans, Daniel Craig, on and on and on. So he's got that going right now. But his producer, Ryan Johnson's producer that he works with, has said several times that once Knives Out is done, then he's rolling on his Star Wars shows. But who knows?
People forget Last Jedi made over $1 billion.
1.3 billion, number one box office film worldwide and domestic of 2017.
I mean, people need to understand the difference between business and what they like.
Yeah.
It's
And by the
a
way,
different thing.
Not to say that it ain't possible.
Right.
I mean, hey, lots of movies get planned and then canceled. Could this be some of them? Absolutely. So I'm not taking that off the table. All I'm saying is that the last official thing has been, he's working Knives Out. Once it premieres, his producer says he's then turning his attention to that new Star Wars trilogy of films. So that's the last official thing we have. All right, what's next?
Griffith Olindy, Academy's decision is absolutely ridiculous. They can't make room for every category, even without a host. They just don't get it.
And I'm cool with taking out some categories. But just take out the categories that the audience sitting at home doesn't care about. Cinematography and editing historically have been considered among the major awards. Cinematography probably a little bit more than editing has been considered, that fairly or unfairly, but they have all been considered some of the upper tier awards. The fact that you're leaving in Best Short Documentary over cinematography or editing is just, I'm not going to go into it all again. Not going to go into it all, although I want to. All right, what's next?
Zaya, hey everyone, hope you're having a great day. Thanks.
We are, and thank you for sharing that, Zaya. All right, what's next?
Curtis Lopez, of all the categories like short, doc, or costume, why cut out cinematography and editing? Whoever is running the Academy needs to sit in their corner.
Dude, I mean, preaching to the choir, brother. Preaching to the choir. I'm in total agreement with you, Curtis. Absolutely. All right, what's next?
Richard K. Over under 40% that we could get Antoine Fuqua to do Bond movie someday. I think his style would be great for it. Your thoughts?
Again, I don't care for questions about X director doing X movie, but if they announced tomorrow that Antoine Fuqua would be doing a Bond movie, I would be all for it.
Me
there
too.
Are several directors, but yeah, he's look. I've had Antoine in this studio. Actually, I was with Antoine. I was literally standing beside him, going down the elevator, when he got the call greenlighting Magnificent Seven. Sorry, greenlighting Equalizer 2.
Oh, okay.
Because I was interviewing him about Magnificent Seven, and then he got the call it might have been the other way around. I can't remember. But anyway, yes, I would be happy for it. He's a great director.
Yeah,
He's great.
but Cary Fukunaga, who's going to direct Bond 25, man, I can't wait. I love True Detective.
All
so
right.
Good.
What about Maniac?
I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, I've not heard great
I'd like
things
to know
about
your
Maniac.
thoughts. Yeah. I'd like to know your
It's
thoughts.
It's different. It's a different genre.
All right.
Why is my question. Okay. Curtis Lopez. The other day, somebody asked if we would ever get another Siskel and Ebert type show. We already have a modern day Siskel and Ebert, Campea, and RMB.
Oh, well, thank you so much. That was an interesting question. One of the things that I respond to, somebody asked during an open mic if I think we could ever get a true Siskel and Ebert again. And one of the things that I said was no. And the reason we won't is because, unfortunately, today's audience is so much about we create these, what's the best way for me to, these isolated environments for ourselves where we only listen to people that say things we only agree with.
Right.
And the reason Roger Ebert was my favorite film critic of all time was not because I disagreed with him half the time, but I never found a film critic that articulated their points of view on a movie so well that it really helped me appreciate my own differing opinion and his opposite opinion.
Right. Not
agreeing. Today it's about, you said something I didn't agree with. I'm and I said, you see it even in our political world. People who are conservative will only watch Fox News. People who are strictly liberal will only watch MSNBC. They only want to hear things that they already agree with. Yep. Just parrot in my ear what I already think. And because of that, I don't think the environment exists that you could have a true Siskel and Ebert today anymore. And hopefully we can someday, but I just don't see that environment right now.
But that viewer who wrote in, I want to say, thumbs up to you.
Yeah, thank you for that. I appreciate that, Curtis, very much. All right, what's next?
Sean Zimney, did you ever see The Old Man and the Gun from this past year? Thought it was overlooked. Stan and Ollie is great too. Recommend checking them out.
I did get around to Old Man and the Gun. I still have not gotten around to Stan and Ollie, although I do want to.
I haven't heard one bad word about Stan and Ollie. Everyone's talked about how good it is.
I have heard a couple of mediocre things, but overall positive. I haven't seen it myself. Old Man and the Gun was very good.
Yeah.
And if it was Robert Redford's final hurrah as an actor, it's a nice way to go out. I didn't think it was overlooked. I don't think it should have been, had 5 Oscar nominations or anything like that. But I thought it was very good. All right, what's next?
Jacob Ibarra, I hope they bring back Abomination so him and the Hulk can tag team Thanos.
Jacob, I've been saying that for years. Because remember, Abomination survives the end. The Hulk almost killed him, but he survives the end. And then in one of the Marvel short films, Coulson mentions we still got Blonsky in the raft. We still got him in lockup. He's still there. He's a great villain, and I hope they find a way to use him.
They brought
again
back
sometime.
William Hurt. Back William Hurt.
Why not? Though it's a bigger deal to bring back a big CG creature
They brought
like
back
that.
Ross.
But I hope they do, man. I hope they do. All right, what's next?
Zaya, this is exactly why I didn't want them to take out the awards from the telecast in the first place, because I was scared they would pull a stunt like this.
Yeah, look, I thought for sure, and this is a misplaced hope in humanity, I suppose. I thought for sure, okay, yeah, take out some categories or something. You still honor them, but just don't do telecast. Got to shorten the telecast up. I never, ever believed time-traveling Robert Meyer Burnett, who told me a week ago that this was going to happen. No way. I cannot conceive. Again, it's the best way. The board running the Academy it's the picture. Is that group of ridiculous-looking clowns piling out of a tiny car. That's your Academy, ladies and gentlemen. Congratulations. You fucking pack of morons. You've ruined the Academy Awards in 1 year. Let's have let's have best movie that came out on a Thursday. Let's do that. How about that? You morons. Anyway. Let's go on. I'm so worked up about this, and I shouldn't be.
Well,
First world problems.
Continue to be worked up. Curtis Lopez. The Academy's decision must have been a giant middle finger to movie fans after we gave them well-deserved crap for the Best Popular Film Award.
And I don't know, maybe that's it exactly. Maybe that's it. Oh, yeah, you give us such a hard time about this? How about we take away Best Cinema? I don't know. I wouldn't, at this point, I wouldn't doubt it. I have completely lost all my faith in the Academy. This guy who's been the biggest defender of the Academy for years and years and years, lost all my faith in them. It disgusts me.
Me too.
I just can't believe there isn't enough brain power in that room to go, hey, maybe this isn't a good idea.
Well, it's reactionary thinking. How do we get the ratings back up? What are we going to do?
But you don't get the ratings back up by taking out one of the majors.
No, you make your show cooler.
Anyway, what's next?
Richard K. Better sibling directors. The Wachowskis.
Wachowskis.
The Russos or the Coens. Your thoughts?
I got to go Coens.
Me too.
Yeah.
By a long margin.
Hey, listen, the Russos are on a streak, for sure. I need to see more out of them than I need to see that they can direct something really great that isn't got Marvel in front of it.
Yeah, I'm totally with you. Look at you with the Coen brothers. Look at No Country for Old Men.
Ugh.
Look at Miller's Crossing, Raising Arizona. I mean, there's so many different movies they've done.
Yes.
The Big Lebowski.
And look, Russos are awesome.
They
I
are
love the Russos. But talk to me in about 10 years when they've done, again, something where they didn't have Kevin Feige overseeing it and the word Marvel in front of their film. Then we'll figure something out there. But they're all great. All great. Actually, you know what? The Wachowskis fell out of favor with me because they did that Jupiter movie and
It's the greatest Disney
What else
princess
did they
movie
do?
Disney
Remind
never
me?
made.
well, they did The Matrix.
Okay.
I got one word for
Forgot.
you when it comes to the Wachowskis. Bound.
I
Ever
don't
see
know.
Bound?
No, I don't know. I haven't
Well,
seen it.
your mom won't like it, but you should watch Bound.
Yeah. Let's not.
Gina
I'm not gonna watch
Gershon
it.
and
Yeah,
Jennifer
Gina Gershon,
Tilly
yep.
Okay, gotcha.
and Joey
Enough
Pants.
said. A-Train Gaming. I will say that I want to work with the Coen brothers more than like anybody. They're my A-Train Gaming. I study technical theater and mainly watch the Oscars for who wins those kinds of awards. And it's kind of sad that they think it's better to give these awards out during commercial breaks when PI. Oh, part 2. When there are still people who want to see it.
Again, you will get a much there are no movies without cinematography and there are no movies without editing. You will not be able to form a proper argument or convincing argument that more people at home care about seeing the winner of Best Short Documentary than they are about those films. Do people care more about Best Actor than cinematography? Of course they do. Of course they do. But you cannot form together an articulate argument to tell me that more people of the average movie-going audience care more about Best Short Animated than it's ridiculous. All right, what's next?
Zachary Buckler. My brother and I have been watching Humphrey Bogart's film lately. Wow. Any suggestions
Nice.
for other classic actors, actresses to watch?
Betty Davis and Katharine Hepburn.
Kurosawa.
Cagney.
What was that, Jonathan?
James Cagney.
James Cagney. Anything old by Kurosawa?
Yeah, Toshiro Mifune. He's incredible.
But look, first of all, number one, going on binging watches for movies and stuff like that. That is a great thing to do, and pulling out things like Bogart films or whatever. Those great to do.
Jimmy Stewart.
Audrey Hepburn.
Aubrey Hepburn. Any of the
On a
Hepburns. Any of the Hepburns. All right, what's next?
Royce Freeman. If a film is nominated but not the director, is it political? Didn't Spielberg or Lucas face that problem?
No, it's not necessarily. Look, there are 9. You can have up to 10 movies nominated for Best Director, and there are only 5 nominee spots for up to 10 nominees for Best Picture, but there are only 5 spots for Best Director nomination.
Right.
They are different things, and look, you can have. So no, it's not a political.
By the
thing.
way, adding more than 5 Best Picture nominees was another attempt by the Academy to make the Oscars more popular. This is a fairly recent
Yes.
development, and they're like, well, it was basically their way of getting popular movies into the Best Picture race. So it's always been lame to me that there's 10. There should be 5 slots.
The odd thing is, I've always been okay with increasing the number of potential winners for Best Picture because that is the award. That's the
Right,
award.
sure.
And to throw it open, and as every year, because Robert, like back in 1990 when we were teenagers going to movies, you didn't
Teenagers?
have. Well, I was. Okay, you didn't have nearly as many movies come out as you do today. There's been a proliferation of that. And so to reflect that a little bit and have a few more of the movies in the running, I always was okay with that for the one thing. I was never for expanding Best Actor to 10 or whatever, but I've always been okay with it as kind of a reflection of the times a bit, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it always just seemed kind of pandering anyway. I mean,
that's
they're
true.
pandering to the. I just don't like pandering. Why don't we punch up instead of punching down all the time?
All right, what's next?
Metal vegan. Hi, John and Rob.
Oh, man, my favorite.
To answer Rob's question yesterday, yes, I'm a metalhead who also tears up them veggies. LOL. Justice for hummus.
Justice for hummus.
That really got me. Some of my fave metal bands are King Diamond, Striper, Wasp, Dawkins.
To hell with the devil. That was the big Striper hit. The big Striper hit was To Hell with the Devil.
And Queensryche.
Yeah,
I mean, come
and
on.
Judas
Operation
Priest.
Mind Crime? That's what I'm talking about.
What are some of yours? Have a healthy headbanging day.
I am an anti-vegetarian. I am a meatitarian. I just like my protein. But even as such, I've grown an appreciation for hummus. I'll chow down on some hummus.
I haven't gone there yet.
I'll chow down on some hummus. I like hummus. Hummus ain't bad. Man, I can't believe you put Striper in that list. Wasp, Dawkins, King Diamond. I used to love listening to some King Diamond.
You know, if you love metal, metal vegan, you've probably seen this movie, but you have to watch The Decline and Fall of Civilization 2, The Metal Years. I'm telling you, it's a sequel to The Decline and Fall of Western Civilization 1, which is a great documentary about the punk scene. But part 2 is my favorite. I mean, it's a little sad too when you see the lead singer of Wasp and his mom. You know,
I haven't seen it, so
it's you would love it.
All right,
everybody should watch it. It's great.
All right, what's next?
Justice for hummus really just like
Justice
is killing me right now. I'm just picturing being like, I'm eating a carrot loudly, you know, just like really always saying, okay. Darth Impact. I was thinking when Hela knocked over the Infinity Gauntlet and said fake, maybe she was speaking of the stones in it. What you think?
I don't remember stones being in it. I thought it was just the
Yeah,
gauntlet. I don't think... I have to go back and watch it again. Maybe I'm incorrect, but I don't remember there being stones in the gauntlet. I think she's talking about the gauntlet.
But now, knowing what we know now, that scene's even funnier.
Yes. Yes, it is.
It's better now.
And by the way, it's out of continuity because if we understand when Peter Dinklage made the glove for him, but that was just a wink to the eye. That little thing was just a little joke wink, not a serious canonical issue, I don't believe. All right.
In the first Thor, there is this like weird Easter egg where they're walking through that room and you see the gauntlet in the back with the gems in it.
It does have the gems in it.
That's the first Thor.
Oh.
But it's a
fake.
It's a fake.
But then there's the Ragnarok one where Hela is walking through and knocks
actually
over and
knocks
says
it,
fake.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's a callback to that first one because everyone was like, well, it was in the throat. It was in there. But
Yeah. Again, Easter egg wink, not canonical issue.
Right.
All right, what's next?
Razor Edge Frisbee. Man, Logan steamrolled into my top 10 movies of all time. I just can't stop watching that damn movie. It's not too early to say that, is it?
It was the best film of 2017, comic book movie or otherwise. It's unfortunate that it did not get a Best Picture nomination. Did get one of the major nominations for Best Screenplay. Great. If it was out today, maybe it would have gotten a Best Picture nomination today. It is outstanding. I believe one of the 3 greatest comic book movies ever made. I can't get enough of that movie. I can watch that movie every day. Seriously, it's just Patrick Stewart in that. And it's weird to say, but I think the best performance of his illustrious career. That performance was insane. And that he didn't get a Best Supporting Actor nomination for that. I also thought, I'm not saying he should have won, but he should have got nominated.
He was amazing.
So good. All right, let's just take 2 more here.
Gabriel Reed, all performances are great, but Sam Rockwell is the greatest part of 3 Billboards outside of Ebbing, Missouri. A must watch for sure.
You know what? I think there's an argument to be had there.
Fantastic.
That's how good the performances in 3 Billboards was.
Oh.
I was so overwhelmed with that movie because when you really boil it down, the movie, and I think a lot of people, even people who love the movie, didn't really catch what it was about. It was about anger.
Right.
The movie's about anger and what it can do to you and what it does to different people. We saw what it did to the mom. We saw what it did to even Woody Harrelson's sheriff. We saw what it did to Sam Rockwell's character, and it always expressed itself in a different way and how different people can manage it when it happens. And it's kind of a case study of what happens when anger takes root and takes a hold of you. And I was profoundly moved by that movie, and I love the fact that it won as many awards as it did. And Sam Rockwell, I think it could have gone to Woody Harrelson, but
Frances McDormand too.
or Frances Wood, which is a different
Yeah,
category.
yeah,
But
yeah.
I mean, and Frances did win,
she did.
by the way, and his performance in that was just fantastic. So, and watching Leslie Bibb watch her husband give the acceptance speech was pretty nice too. Leslie was just so happy, so proud of him, and seeing her crying, it was all nice. All right, what's next?
Yeah, that scene with Woody Harrelson will just stick with me forever.
Oh, forever.
Okay. Well, this was already said, but in a different way. I guess I'll skip.
From who?
Darth Impact, when Hela knocked over the Infinity Gauntlet and said fake, maybe she was speaking of the stones in it. What you think?
Oh, yeah, that was kind of repeated, wasn't it? Oh, well, okay.
Okay. Marie Singfree, over under 40% Hugh Jackman wins an Oscar in the next 5 years to complete an EGOT.
The EGOT.
The
Emmy,
EGOT.
Grammy, Oscar, Tony. I didn't know he was just within that. I mean, it's totally possible. He's clearly an Academy level actor. He has been nominated for Academy Awards before. So therefore, I'd have to say there's a pretty decent chance. I like 40 as a line. I like 40% as a line. I will take the over on 40.
I'll take that.
You take that too?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I didn't know that would complete the EGOT for him, which would be pretty amazing if you got that. All right, last question of the day.
Richard Walton. Hey, John, been watching since the MOS.
Man of Steel.
Which one?
Man of Steel.
Man of Steel. So you said that everything Kevin Smith revealed about Justice League being 3 parts was previously known, but what about him saying Green Lantern was the one taking to Alfred?
Talking to Alfred.
Yeah.
I don't think that's true, by the way. I think I know that that's not true. And as far as they're originally thinking of a trilogy, nobody knew details, but everybody knew that it was meant to be a series of films. I mean, that was no big surprise. And yes, we already know for a fact that wasn't Green Lantern talking to Alfred. I don't know what he meant by that or what he was trying to say, but that's just not the case, as far as we all know. All right, guys. That will do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show. Thank you for being here. Listen, everybody who still has outstanding questions there, from Mighty Thanos to Angry Irish Benjamin, Bestie 14, Colby Harrison, all the way down. Don't you worry. We're going to have a companion video a little bit later today to get to all these questions. I will be answering them on a video. That will come up by the end of the day. Keep your eyes open for that. All right, guys, I want to thank the people sitting here with me. First of all, Mr. Robert Meyer Burnett. Robert, where can people find you online?
You can find me on Twitter at BurnettRM. Find me on Instagram at RMBurnett, or find me on The Burnett Work, my YouTube channel, or look up my website, theburnettwork.net.
Sitting over there, we got Ashley Whalen. Ashley, where can people find you?
You guys can find me on Twitter at AshAttack1, or my Instagram is Ashley Whalen with 2 Y's in Ashley.
And, of course, you guys can follow me on Instagram and on Twitter, simply at John Campea. That will do it for us today, guys. Thanks so much for being here. My name's John Campea, and until our next video, bye-bye.